Well, hello everyone. Here we are for another episode of bonus content. This past Sunday, we looked at Jesus' radical challenge to consider all Jesus followers as our family. Jesus said, "Who are my mother and my brothers and my sisters? Those who hear the message and do it." And at this point in the story, he's using an analogy of family. He'll later use a different analogy, an alarming analogy, to describe this family. And it's the Greek word ekklesia. It's where we get our word church. Matthew quotes Jesus as saying, "On this rock, I will build my church, my ekklesia." And what's alarming is that this wasn't even a religious word. Essentially, it was a secular assembly of people who were committed to their city-state, kind of like an unofficial group of political keeners. And those committed to embedding Rome's agenda, Rome's values, Rome's ideologies into the fabric of their society. And the idea was that there would be groupings of people, large and small, scattered all across the known world, representing Rome, excited about Rome and her values and her ideologies. And it was used for centuries in Greek and Roman empires. And it was a fabulous way to infiltrate other societies and cultures at the grassroots level, on the street, in businesses, in neighborhoods, as well as empirically through structures of power. Now, we all know that top-down structures of power aren't the most effective way of changing people's minds, of embedding ideology. But these ekklesias, these keeners, were a much more effective way to impact society for the values of Rome and the ideologies of Rome. Now, the disciples would have been alarmed by his choice of word because they would have considered this word completely irredeemable. Don't forget, Rome was an oppressive regime. For Jesus' audience, this ekklesia represented an oppressive regime. Why would he choose a word from politics, particularly politics of a foreign invader? Why didn't Jesus just say, "I will build my temple," or "I will build my synagogue"? Those are two words that were revered in the Jewish context. But let's think about it for a moment. Temple and synagogue were static institutions. They were geographically located, and they were centered around a building that people came to. Ekklesia, on the other hand, was a buildingless, mobile people movement that operated 24/7 in the marketplace to impact everyone and everything. And here's the fun part. So, listen closely. Listen closely. Anywhere in the world, this was Rome's mandate, anywhere in the world where 2 or 3 Roman citizens gathered in Rome's name, there was the authority of Rome in their midst. I want to say that again. I want to say that in case you were sleeping. Where 2 or 3 Roman citizens gathered in Rome's name, there was the authority of Rome. There was Rome in their midst. Does that sound familiar? It should. Jesus borrowed those same words. Jesus said, "Where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, there I am also." You see, he borrowed this idea from Rome, and in taking this concept and repurposing it for his kingdom, immediately they would have had a concept of what this new family, this household of Jesus followers was to look like, how it would function. His goal wasn't to expand religious institutions, but to see nations and peoples transformed by the presence of 2 or 3 gathered in his name, or in homes and around tables. And as I said on Sunday, he turned tables into pulpits and homes into assembly halls. And the church grew. It grew exponentially. Historians actually scratch their heads and wonder how it could grow that quickly. It was that unfathomable, particularly when we think they didn't have seminaries, they didn't have full-time staff, they didn't have professional ministers, and they didn't even have the New Testament. It grew because small groupings of people heard the message of Jesus and lived it and embedded it into their neighborhoods and their social structures. They lived it in such a way as to infiltrate and impact the communities in which they lived. So let's never underestimate the power of 2 or 3 gathered in Jesus' name around a table for a coffee or a meal. Jesus chose groupings of people gathered in homes as his vehicle, his primary vehicle for the kingdom, for spreading this good news over grand assemblies in temples or buildings. So I hope you can get as excited about that as I am. Have a great week.